Before I start this video, I would like to tell you a short story. If you know anything about me or you have been around this channel long enough to figure it out, I enjoy playing first-person shooters. Apex being a big proprietor of that fact, considering half the videos I have made have been about Apex. However, I felt like I needed a change of pace, per se. So, against my better judgment and given my rather interesting track record with the company, I decided to install Valorant.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the f?
It did not go well. As it turns out, I am appalling at tac shooters. My game sense is non-existent, and my mechanics, which I pride myself upon, aren't great either. This has been going on for the past 2 to 3 weeks. After a particularly bad session on Valorant, where I felt like wanting to put my fist through my monitor, I needed to take a break. So after 5 minutes of breathing and let myself calm down, I hopped onto Kovacs. And it was during that aim training session I had a thought. Why does confidence matter so much in gaming? Well, I am here today to try and figure that out to the best of my ability. And hopefully you guys learn a thing or two. Part 1. What is confidence? Confidence, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is as stated: the quality of being certain in your abilities or of having trust in people, plans, or the future. Confidence plays a major role in most walks of life. It affects our way of communicating to one another, our decisions, and even how we carry ourselves with self-image. Being confident is something that many people strive to be, as it is shown to be a vast array of positive effects. Confidence, as you can tell, has a massive effect on how people conduct themselves in any given situation, especially when it comes to the more high-stress situations. Being calm, calculated, and under control is a good way to boost morale of the people around you. So how does this affect gaming? It affects gaming a lot more than you think. From the perspective of competitive esports, having confidence is one of the keys to success. One of the best examples would be a team's coach, which coaches the team from outside the game, to an IGL or in-game leader, who makes decisions of the team alongside the coach to try and turn the tide of the match or set into their favor. There are also personal forms of confidence, like a player's ability to perform well in a match or being able to boost a team's morale to keep everyone's spirits high. Another form of this would also be a player's mechanical skill, or just their athleticism in general if you're talking general sports. But how does it benefit gaming? Well, there is a lot of things. Part 2. Confidence in gaming. Now, confidence in gaming has its many benefits. Due to this, it is a powerful tool to utilize, especially when the stakes of the match are high. For example, you're in that ever so important promotional match that will get you to a rank you've never been to before. How do you feel? Maybe a little stressed, maybe a little bit anxious, maybe even a little bit scared. This is where the strength of confidence will come into play. Performance anxiety can be a rather nasty ball curve to overcome. As long as you're able to focus on what you're doing and not what everyone else is doing, is when you're able to play at your best. Worrying about what your teammates are doing is a surefire way to sabotage the match for yourself. The moment you start worrying about what everyone else is doing and not what you yourself are doing, that's when things tend to go bad. So what do you do in this situation? As I said before, you focus on what you are doing. Are you making the correct decisions? Are you able to read the game state and communicate what could be an effective strategy to your teammates? Are you able to outplay your opponent, or are you able just to place down your utility better? Being able to focus on what you are doing and not what everyone else is doing is a good way to improve your confidence in any form of play. From FPS to RTS, from FGC to TCG. Most of this is anecdotal, I will admit, but the benefits of being confident is something that far outweighs negatives. Of course, you want that win to rank up and say you've improved. However, having the ability to delegate some of the stress to your team and learning to trust them can be a delicate thing. What about that bottom frag that's 4 and 15? What about the bot lane that's feeding the other team? What about this? What about that? I understand how stressful that can be. However, there is one thing I haven't mentioned yet, and it is relatable to most, if not all of us, at one point or another in life. And it's when the pressure gets a little bit too high. Part 3. Choking. When the pressure or stress of a situation gets to a point where it starts to affect how you think and act, in games we like to call it choking. When you become stressed, you have a tendency to start overthinking about what you are doing, and sometimes that can affect how you play, and it can make you play worse, hence why it's called choking. An example of this, for me, would be the first time I nearly got a sub 9 in Just Keep Running.
No! You can get the sub 9 there.
When I got to chapter 2 stage 4, during that run I was thinking, is this it? Is this the sub 9? And so I started to tense up. I started to overthink about my actions. I started making mistakes at the worst possible time. I eventually ended up dying to the roof turret that was in the cafeteria and had to do the whole level again. Safe to say, that run was dead. It sucks to choke at anything, especially when it feels like you could have done it. However, don't look at choking as a I couldn't do it type deal, but rather as a I could have done it if I wasn't choking type deal. It's all a matter of perspective, really, and being able to stay calm and composed, especially in high stress situations like that, will prove to be beneficial in the long run. As you gain more experience from being in those situations, you will learn how to deal with those sorts of situations better. The better you'll get at not choking in these situations, the better you play overall, and the more confident you become. In a long-winded kind of way, it does help build confidence, because you are able to handle yourself at high stress / high pressure situations. And as such will be a good way to build self-confidence within yourself and your own abilities. However, why does this all matter if you or I want to be confident? Well, we're about to find out here. Part 4. What's the point in confidence? Oh yes, confidence is something that you can have a natural affinity for at an early age. It is also something you can acquire later on down the line with enough practice. Confidence isn't just one thing. It's a foundation. One that when built can be a lifelong lasting structure that can affect you positively both in-game and real life. I know not many of us gamers think confidence is that important, but when I asked a friend of mine to ask one of his friends about their perspective on confidence in form of a Yu-Gi-Oh match, this is what they had to say. Confidence to me is something that both stems from tactic and risk assessment. You might hold the final spell or have an amazing combo piece in your hand, or you could kill someone's beloved board state. But could the opponent counter? Confidence says you should go for it if all of his resources are depleted, if he has no way to bring back what you made him lose, or if it is just to give you the one-up from then on forward. Sometimes, however, confidence doesn't always work out, and you might need to reevaluate the situation. Do some more thinking, and if the opponent does counter, then what? Have you run dry after you do your thing? Are you able to continue? There are many things that come into play when it comes to confidence, but to me, the bigger part of it is knowing you are at least mostly sure in your ways, are able to perform and keep up the performance afterwards. As you gain confidence and a subconscious ability to perform, you'd probably see yourself enter the flow state. I don't think I really need to explain this. We've all been in a flow state before, but if anyone was asked about how they could describe the flow state, they couldn't really describe it in detail. So I decided to ask the one person who can describe the flow state in detail. I asked Farak, and this is what he had to say. Flow state isn't a thing you do. It's a thing that happens to you at that specific moment. There are ways to induce it, but no active action can lead to it, as it is a feeling of being completely in the zone. Hence the name. It is a state of consciousness where we feel and perform our best without taking effort into consideration. It's as if you're being propelled through the activity and find it intrinsically motivating, as time dilation happens where 5 hours can seem like 5 minutes. And what that task is can differ per profession. You can be a writer who has failed to notice their alarm go off in the other room. You could be a scientist losing complete track of the day, or a musician effortlessly playing the same song on repeat for hours on end. This means that a task at hand feels fulfilling, enjoyable, or is full of meaning to them. It is, however, more than the sheer focus on the task that names it flow, as you feel oneness with the task at hand. Not easily distracted by impulse or the outside world, as the neurons firing inside the brain concentrate their efforts on concentration, self-awareness, and self-consciousness. What it boils down to is that flow is something you reach, not achieving, as focusing on reaching it is a distraction to the process. Now, it's nice to hear about Varrock's perspective on flow state, so I decided to add my own personal perspective on flow state. It isn't all that different in comparison to Varrock's, but it goes something like this. To me personally, flow state is something that just happens. When I get so engrossed in something, I tend to zone everything else out, and will usually require the end or completion of said task or game. An example of this would be Voltaic Daily Improvement Method on Kovacs. These are aim training routines, designed to help build mind-muscle connections to improve one's ability to click heads on a screen, and I love clicking heads on a screen. When I do these routines, I'm usually locked in for the next hour and a half. Literally nothing can get me to look away or break focus. After the routine, I feel drained for focusing that long, but at the same time, I feel fulfilled because of it, as putting in genuine effort into something that I want to improve upon is a positive thing for myself. Winding down afterwards, because sometimes I will snap back into a flow state on something, I go for a walk, and I do some breathing exercises to help calm my mind. So, what have I learned from doing the research side of this project? A lot, actually, and just how important confidence is in the vast majority of roles that we play in. Whether you are in a team or you're doing something individually, being confident is a cornerstone to personal skill development and knowledge acquisition. And even if you aren't that confident, don't worry about it. If I'm honest, I'm not so confident myself outside of these YouTube videos and the odd Twitch stream I do here and there. I'm actually pretty awkward, but that's besides the point. If you do something and you enjoy doing it and you love doing it, be confident in that, because that shows genuine passion and a genuine fulfillment of oneself. Anyway, that's going to be it from me. Hopefully you all took away something positive from this video, and I'll see you all in the next video, whatever it is. This is Azura, signing out. Later.